Welcome back to K/. If you enjoy crazy internet stories about entitled people and choosing beggars, you're definitely in the right place. Today's story is absolutely wild. It starts with someone trying to adopt a dog, and somehow ends with them attempting to steal a completely different one. Trust me, the situation escalates fast. So this happened a couple of years ago when I was still living with my parents. Our family had a habit of fostering animals and helping people find good homes for pets when they couldn't keep them anymore. One day, a family friend contacted us with a problem. They had a 2-year-old Labrador named Daisy. Daisy was extremely friendly, well-trained, and honestly one of the sweetest dogs I've ever met. Unfortunately, the family had to move to an apartment that didn't allow pets. They didn't want to bring Daisy to a shelter because they were worried she might get stressed or end up waiting a long time to be adopted. So they asked if we could temporarily take care of her and help find her a good home. Of course, we agreed. We made a simple post online explaining the situation. We included a few pictures of Daisy playing in the yard and wrote that we were looking for a responsible owner. We also added a small adoption fee of $50. Not because we wanted money, but because people who pay even a small amount are usually more serious about actually caring for the animal. Within a few days, we started getting messages. Most people asked normal questions like whether Daisy got along with kids or other pets. Some people asked about her diet or how much exercise she needed. Then one message came in from a woman who seemed very eager. She told us she had a big house, a fenced backyard, and a young son who had always wanted a dog. She sounded friendly enough, so my mom arranged for her to come over and meet Daisy. The plan was simple. She would come by, meet Daisy, spend some time with her, and if everything seemed like a good fit, my parents would visit her house the next day for a quick home check. Now here's where things get interesting. On the day she was supposed to come over, both of my parents suddenly had to leave the house to deal with an urgent errand. Normally, they would have rescheduled the meeting, but the woman had already driven a long distance. So my mom asked if I could handle the meet and greet. At the time, I was 16 and had already helped with several pet adoptions before, so it didn't seem like a big deal. All I had to do was let the woman meet Daisy. Before she arrived, I put our 2 dogs in the kitchen so they wouldn't cause chaos. Then I brought Daisy into the living room and waited. About 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, the woman barely even greeted me. She walked inside and immediately looked around the house like she was inspecting it. Then she spotted Daisy. Daisy approached slowly, wagging her tail, but staying a little cautious like dogs usually do when meeting someone new. Instead of letting Daisy come to her naturally, the woman suddenly reached down and grabbed Daisy by the collar. She pulled her forward pretty roughly. Daisy immediately looked uncomfortable and tried to step back. I politely said, "Please be gentle. She's a little shy with new people." The woman shot me an annoyed look and said, "I know how to handle dogs." That response instantly made me uneasy. Still, I tried to stay polite because maybe she was just having a bad day. While she was examining Daisy, something unexpected happened. One of our dogs managed to push open the kitchen door and ran into the living room. He was still a young dog, about 6 months old, and full of energy. He ran straight toward the woman and jumped up excitedly. I immediately apologized and tried to grab him. But before I could, the woman picked him up. She started turning him around, inspecting him like someone checking a product at a store. Then she asked a question that caught me completely off guard. "You didn't say you had another dog for sale." I laughed nervously and said, "Oh no, he's not for sale. He's our dog." She frowned. "Well, my son would probably like this one more." I said again, "Sorry, he's not available." She stared at me for a moment like she didn't believe what I was saying. Then she reached into her purse and pulled out a crumpled $20 bill. She shoved it toward me and said, "Here, I'll take him instead." For a second, I thought she was joking, but then she tucked my dog under her arm and started walking toward the door. That's when I realized she was completely serious. My brain basically froze. I remember thinking, is this woman actually trying to leave with my dog? After a second, I snapped out of it and rushed to the door before she could open it. I pushed the door closed and said, "You need to put my dog down right now." The woman suddenly started yelling. She screamed, "You're abusing these dogs. I'm rescuing him." The whole situation had gone from awkward to insane in about 30 seconds. I pulled out my phone and said, "If you don't put him down, I'm calling the police." The moment she heard the word police, she completely panicked. She shoved past me, dropped my dog onto the floor, and ran out the door. By the time I reached the driveway, she was already speeding away in her car. Thankfully, my dog wasn't hurt. He was confused but otherwise fine. I called my parents and explained what happened. At first, they thought I was exaggerating. Then I reminded them of something important. When the woman originally applied to adopt Daisy, she had filled out a form with her name, phone number, and home address for the home check. So we literally had all of her information. My parents contacted the police and explained the situation. Apparently, trying to steal someone's dog is taken pretty seriously. To this day, I still can't believe someone thought they could walk into a stranger's house, hand them $20, and leave with a completely different dog. But honestly, the internet is full of stories about people like this. And somehow they always believe they're the reasonable ones in the situation. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more insane stories about entitled people and choosing beggars, make sure you subscribe to K/. Because trust me, there are plenty more crazy stories out there. And I'll see you in the next video.